Tell us about your character Steph in Brief Encounters.
So Steph is, you sort of meet her when she's this young mother, she's married, she's a very sweet, she's sort of the girl next door, and she's living a life that's sort of been set out in front of her, and she's married to her husband, she's got this kid, and they live in this house, and that's sort of it really. And when we first meet her, there's just the beginning of this sort of feeling that she just wants something slightly more from life, but she hasn't figured out what that is yet or who she might be. So she's just this very sweet, likeable, sort of quite shy young woman who you watch change throughout the series.
And she ultimately gets involved with these Anne Summers parties and becomes a demonstrator.
Yeah.
What more can you tell me about that?
Well, because of her husband loses his job, so she sees an advert in the paper looking for people to sell sort of exotic lingerie, and that's how she's introduced to this world. And from there she sort of spirals and she gets further and further involved, and she becomes a demonstrator, and through that meets the other women, and their sort of friendships develop from that.
It seems like it's really a story about love on the one hand and friendships on the other.
Yeah, I think for me the show is about friendships, and that's what attracted me to it. It's about 4 unlikely friends, 4 very different women who actually are kind of searching for the same thing. They're searching to find out who they are in the world, and their friendship surprises each other, and it's about love and it's about self-discovery. But I think it's been really nice to make a programme about female friendships, because it's a very important thing for me in my life, and I think it's so great to finally tell those stories. These are ordinary women, they're not brain surgeons on another planet fighting crime. They're just the kind of women that you have in your life, your mother, your sister, your neighbour, and their sort of ordinariness makes them extraordinary. Like, that's sort of what appealed to me about the show.
So for Steph particularly, and for all of these women, do they sort of find themselves, or you know, what do these parties do for all of them?
I think it sort of inspires them to be the bravest version of themselves. It sort of pushes them into places they never expected to go, or they never thought they could be that brave to stand up in front of a group of strangers and talk about something so intimate. So I think it is the catalyst for their own self-discovery, really, and it opens up this world of sort of female solidarity. You know, it's an extraordinary business model to take these kind of products and these kind of ideas into the privacy of people's homes where they felt safe enough to explore that, and it was fun and it's a positive experience. And I think the nature of the job that they're doing sort of reflects back on themselves and helps them see what kind of woman they could be, really. It's all about sort of building each other up and building up confidence and fun, and that's sort of what it ends up doing to them.
Speaking of these products, what was it like handling merchandise?
It was just hilarious. I thought, when we started shooting, I thought it's probably going to be funny for about 5 minutes when we first see them, and then it'll get old. But it didn't get old. It's just hilarious, and it does, because they're so silly, especially the early models. They're just so bizarre, and we're so used to seeing them all now. And we have Anne Summers on the high street, and we're very vocal and we talk about these sort of things. But it was very easy to tap into that excitement of seeing them for the first time, and it just was just funny. It just was endlessly funny.
Have you been to an Anne Summers party, or indeed hosted one yourself?
I've never been to one. And I'm really annoyed that we tried to do one before we started shooting, but we ran out of time. But yeah, I'd love to go now, knowing what I know.
The 80s itself is almost a very big character, another character in this show. What was that whole thing like, and the sets and the costumes? Talk to me about working with all of that.
It was fun. It was really fun. When I first got the scripts through, I was saying before that they had all the sort of music that they wanted played in the scenes, and I pulled it all out and made a playlist, and immediately I was sort of in the right frame of mind. And it's just fun. It's such an interesting decade, because it was so there's sort of experimentation everywhere, and it just was bold, and you know, it's so recognisable, and it still is so much a part of our popular culture, you know, what happened in the 80s. So it was just fun. It was fun sort of playing around with shoulder pads and hair and clothes and all the girly things, but also the sets looked so brilliant. There was just such a sort of strong sense of style in the 80s that now is so sort of strange to our modern taste. So it was fun to be involved in that.